Hello and welcome to the channel. I am here for an album review for you guys. This time I'm going to be reviewing another album from In Flames. So for this review, I'm going to be reviewing and ranting on Siren Charms by In Flames. And to be honest, this is my least favorite In Flames album, and I do think that it is the weakest album that they've came out with. I do think it's worse than Battles and I the Mask. This album just has so many problems with it. Like, I mean, where do I begin with the problems? I mean, I think for one, this album is kind of all over the place as far as song structures are concerned, because I feel like in some spots of this album, like, it doesn't know if it wants to be super melodic or super heavy, you know? So it's kind of all over the place in that regard. And I don't know what they were going for here as far as the influences are concerned. I feel like that this is In Flames trying to be Leprous, the band Leprous, which I think is an alright band. I mean, but In Flames, they should not be taking influence from them. Like, I don't know if they were trying to go, you know, prog on this album. I mean, if they were, it doesn't work for them, but I mean, I kind of doubt that that's what it is. I mean, but this album is just boring. There's nothing special about it. Now, there's a few songs on here that are okay, but I'll go ahead and talk about the good stuff about this album. So, Paralyzed, I do think, is one of the better tracks on the album. I just really like those hard-hitting riffs, and how Anders sounds over these riffs. That song is actually not too bad. It's actually maybe one of the better songs off this album. When the World Explodes is an interesting song. I believe this has a female guest singer on it, and the song isn't too bad. It is one of the heavier tracks on the album, if not probably is the heaviest track on the album. It's not too bad of a song. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting with the way the song flows and how how the song kind of breaks things down at the end. It's an interesting song. I mean, it's not mind-blowing, but it's, you know, pretty good. And then the other song that I think is not too bad is the song Dead Eyes, which is not too bad of a song. It is a fairly melodic song. I don't know. I think this song just has... I think I just kind of like the emotion that's delivered in this song. It's actually not too bad. But other than those songs that I just mentioned, this album really doesn't have much going for it. This album, I do believe, has some of their weakest material, some of the worst songs that In Flames has ever put out. For example, Through Oblivion, the title track, and Rusted Nail. These songs are not good songs at all. Rusted Nail, I think, might be the worst In Flames song of all time. I mean, the thing is with this album, like, Anders Frieden in his vocal delivery, like, he doesn't sound like he's even interested when he's delivering the lyrics in these songs. Like, honestly, half the time, Anders sounds like he sounds like he's like bored or something whenever he's delivering the lines in these songs. I mean, his vocal delivery is not that great. This is easily the weakest vocal delivery out of any In Flames record. This album is just, it's not very good. And yeah, the vocals are definitely one of the biggest problems with it, as well as the instrumentation itself. Now, I know some people might say, well, oh, you don't like this album just because it's not like their old stuff. It's not like their Melodeath stuff, which, you know, you might as well say that to every In Flames fan, because let me tell you something, most In Flames fans do prefer the old stuff. But even when it comes to the modern In Flames, they've done way better than this. Like, even I the Mask, an album that hasn't aged that well, is like, that album feels like a masterpiece compared to Siren Charms. I mean, that's how bad this album is. It's just not very good. Vocally, I do think it has some of Anders' worst vocal delivery. The instrumentation is nothing to write home about either. And I don't, again, with the influence, I don't know what they were going for with the influence. I don't even know what kind of sound they were going for. I mean, I would say that this is still alternative metal, but it just doesn't work for them. I think that this is the point in In Flames' career where they just didn't know what to do, you know? And the album before this, Sounds of a Playground Fading, is actually a pretty good album. Kind of underrated too. So, you know, that album I thought was really the last good album that they had to offer. And I just think maybe after that they just didn't know what else to do. So they just came out with this. And in result, this ended up being their worst album. At least I would say. But yeah, this album has a lot of cringe to it. Some songs that are just kind of boring. The cringy parts mainly have to do with Anders' vocal delivery. For example, in the song Through Oblivion, especially in the verses. Can never get into that one. It's kind of a weak album. As a score, I'll have to give this album a 2 out of 10, which I know is a very low score, but in my opinion, it's worthy of that score, a 2 out of 10. Now, like I said, there are a few notable tracks on here, but here's the thing. Even the songs, like the better songs, the best songs on the album, are not even anything worth writing home about. Like, you can live without hearing the best songs on this album. Like, you'd be totally fine. Like, you wouldn't even be missing out on much, even if you missed out on the better tracks on this album. Not a very good album. So that's my review for Siren Charms by In Flames. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and take care.